story. All right, so this is the little photo album that we're going to be working on tonight. And I've been wanting to do a photo album for quite some time, but I know that they can be very involved. And this one is easy, but there are a lot of pieces and parts to it. So I'm just going to take my time tonight and hopefully get through this and not make any boo-boos. Hey Glenda, hey Fran, thank y'all for joining in. Hi Kathy, thanks for being here. So someone had said they thought that this paper looked like lemon lime twist, and when I look back at the photo it did, but it's actually old olive because that is the green that's in this designer series paper. And this paper is actually the Christmas Around the World, but I'm gonna toss it up and use a little something different. So, well, actually before I get into this, I wanted to show you the covers on the Occasions catalog and the Celebration catalog. Now, Stampin' Up! Does not allow me to show you what is inside the catalog. They will let me show you the product that I've purchased, so I'm not really sure why I can't open the catalogs and show you what's in there. Hi Patsy. But anyways, these are the front covers, and you can kind of get a glimpse of what's going to be inside even from just looking at the front covers here. As far as the cover on this goes, I have all of these items and they were free because of the order that I placed for the items in the Occasions catalog. I did not get these bows. I wasn't sure yet if that was something that I love. I did get the Sweet Soiree Sweet and like it a lot, and if I'm not mistaken, this color that's on this butterfly right here is actually done with some watercolor powder. So I'm getting ready to do some experimenting with all of that. All right, so let's forget about the internet. So anyways, I use my iPad to see when you guys are making comments, and right now I've just got the little spinny thing going around, so I don't know if I'm going to get to see your comments or not, so I will answer afterwards if my iPad doesn't work. But I do see that Galinda's saying she's excited about her order. So this is just the little belly band that I made, and I created this with, where's my stamp set? Here it is. I created that with the Merry Patterns stamp set, and this was actually a Hostess set that Stampin' Up! Had. It was kind of like a surprise set that they came out with. I think it was in October. And so anyways, I decided to go ahead and use this because I love that it just says "'Tis the Season." And I did a little bit of gold embossing and then I stamped it with my black ink. I'm not going to emboss the one that I'm doing for you tonight just because I know that everybody doesn't have a heat tool and embossing powders and all that. So I'm going to do the tag just a little bit different. So when you open, and I've got it upside down, when you open this, I've made just some little pockets over here that will hold a 3.5 by 5 photo. And then on this side, I just made some little tags that you could do journaling on, or I know that you can sometimes get more like little wallet size photos, and I thought that it would be cute to put some smaller photos on those. And I just made different sizes and put them in these pockets that I have over here on this side. So I wanted to keep this photo album relatively simple, but be able to do a little bit of journaling and that kind of thing, and just not go overboard on creating a photo album that's going to take you a half a day to complete. So I'm going to close this up and move it over to the side, and I'm going to show you how to make this. So all right, put that down there. As I go through, because there's so many parts to this project, I'm just going to tell you what I'm using as I'm using it, because I have everything stacked over here to the side kind of in an order, kind of a haphazardly order, but I do have it over there with my names of everything and what I'm using it for. So the base of your And I've got nail polish on that, so I'm going to flip that way so that I'll cover it up with my paper. This is very vanilla, and it is 8.5 by 11, so it takes a full sheet to do this. So I'm going to put it in my Simply Scored scoring tool, and I'm going to start out by scoring at the 2-inch mark. Let me turn that around and score with this side. And then again at the 2.5-inch mark. And this is the thick Whisper White, by the way. And then I'm going to score again at 6.5 and at 7. And when I use the thick Whisper White, I like to sometimes go over my score lines more than once. So that is all the scoring that we have to do for our cover. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side, and then the next thing that I'm going to bring out are the pieces to make the little pockets over on the side. So these all are done in very vanilla as well. I have a piece that is 8 by 4, another piece that is 3 by 7, and then a third piece that is 6 by 2.5. So we do have some scoring to do on these. On the largest one, I'm going to start out by scoring at 3.5. Let's see, that's right, 3.5. And then I'm going to turn this piece so that the 8 is across the top, and then just score it at 1/2 inch. So this is the top, side, bottom, and then this is the side where you'll stick your little tags in. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come right up here at 2.5 inches, and I'm just going to use my stylus and just make a little indentation right there. And then come over here and use the ruler on the side and make another indentation at 3 inches. Then as you see, I've got this little white line that goes down the center of my scoreboard, and I use that for diagonal scoring like this. So I've got the 2 little indentions that I made lined up with that white line, and I'm just going to score right down there like that. Now this little part will end up getting folded back on the inside. You could cut that, but my thinking on it is things are going to be sliding in and out of this, maybe a lot if you use this photo album quite a bit. So I wanted that double layer of cardstock right there to keep it from getting tattered from sliding things in and out. Okay, so the medium size piece, I will score 1/2 inch across the bottom, and then score 1/2 inch down the side. So since this is 3 inches wide, I'm going to score at 2.5. All right, so on this one, I'm going to make a mark right up here at 2 inches, and then down here at 2.5, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Just line up those little marks that I made with that center line that I have on my scoreboard and score. And then the last one, just like the other two, 1/2 inch down the bottom, 1/2 inch down the side, so this will get scored at 2 inches. All right, and on this one, I'm going to make a mark at 1 3/4 inch up there, and then 2 1/8 inch on the side. Then line those up and score. And I do apologize, guys. My iPad is just froze, so I cannot see any comments or questions or anything that you might be saying. So please forgive me if I'm not being able to answer your questions or make comments with you. I guess I'm just going to have to get a new iPad. This one's about 4 years old, so maybe that's the problem. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut right across where those 2 score lines intersect with each other. And then I'm going to cut that at an angle right there. And then right up here where this score line is, I'm going to cut that at an angle, just like you do whenever you're building a box, because when we fold this all up, we don't want any of those pieces in the way and sticking out. So if you can tell, these lines cross right there. I'm cutting right across where they intersect with each other. And I'm going to do that on all 3 of these pockets. Now, I don't intend on putting designer series paper on the 2 larger ones, the larger and the medium size one. I'm only going to put designer series paper on the small one. So I'm going to sit these to the side for just a minute. Now, actually, I think I'll move forward right here. I'm going to go ahead and score, or not score, but fold and burnish my score lines. And then I'm just going to be using my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue for a lot of this project tonight. So I'm just going to fold that to the inside, and it's kind of going at an angle a little bit right there, but that is on the inside. Nobody's ever going to see that, so I am not worried about it. So I'm going to do that on all 3 of these pieces. Just get those folded in, and if I see that it's going to cross over where my score line is, oops, sorry about that, then I'll just take my scissors and just cut that so it won't be in the way. And nope, that one's not going to do it. All right, so get that one folded over. Let me go ahead and get these other score lines folded and burnished. While I'm in the process, I'm going to turn off Facebook and then try turning it back on again and see if my iPad will catch up. So there are my 3 little pockets. I'm going to go ahead and put my Designer Series paper on here. Where did I put it? Right here. So here's my Designer Series paper. I'm going with the Christmas Around the World, but I decided to go with a different pattern because the first one I did is more darker colors and just a plaid, but I wanted to go with something that is lighter in color just because I like to a lot of times do projects with different papers just to see the difference in the way that they look. All right, so I've got my Simply Scored scoring tool back here again. And I'm going to do something very similar that I was doing with those little pockets. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to make a mark right here at 2 inches on the side. And then what I'm going to do, which I know you probably can't see that little mark that I made. I can't even see it. Let me do it again. All right, so I know it's right there by that little orange ornament. So I'm going to cut from the corner right here straight down to where I made that little indentation. Don't need this little piece. I'm going to toss it to the side. Then let me find my small piece. And so this will get stuck to the front just like that. And because these are all stacking on top of one another, I just didn't feel it was necessary to put the Designer Series paper on these other 2. You can if you want to, but since they're going to be pretty much covered up, I just decided not to. So I'm just going to use my glue on this. And I know that there is one part that I'm going to be using my tear and tape, and I think I may have left it over there at my other workstation. If I don't have it, I'll run over there and get it real quick. All right, and so these are going to end up stacking all on top of each other just like that. So I'm going to sit these over here for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish the lines in my actual photo album. And what I've done here is I've made sure that I've given myself about a ½ inch of thickness because I've got quite a few pieces of paper going on the inside. And then when you consider that you're going to be putting photographs in there on top of that, it could possibly get very thick. All right, so now while I have this sitting here, I think I'll go ahead and attach my Designer Series paper to the outside here. So I have 2 pieces, and both of these are cut to 8 by 3½ inches, and then I have the third one that is 8 by 1½ inches. Now this one is a directional paper. The plaid was not. So when you're doing something like this with a directional paper, you kind of gotta think about it before you attach it. And so I'm just going to use my liquid glue again. Put that on there, And then this one is the little front flap. I know it's going to be going like this, so this needs to go in this direction. All right, sorry y'all, I'm trying to get my live back up on my iPad, so hopefully I can talk to y'all. Okay, then this one will be going this direction, so I know that this paper needs to be like that. So I'm going to flip that over, and you know, you could use I would not use snail on this. Snail is okay for a project, in my opinion, that is not going to be handled a lot. But because people will be handling photo albums more than they would a card or something like that, then I would definitely use either tear and tape, multi-purpose liquid glue, or maybe even fast fuse for these pieces here. Okay, then the back, it's going to go like that so that it's going to be face up. All right, so I'm going to put my glue on here. Alrighty, get that stuck down. Okay, so everything is going in the right direction, and I think this paper is funny because there's an ornament right there, but it looks like a dill pickle. That is so funny to me. And this little koala, y'all, I just have to tell you this really fast. My middle child, Tucker, when he was little, he was infatuated with koala bears. I'm not sure why or where that came from, and he's always liked stuffed animals. So if he had a little stuffed animal, or even our pet, because we usually have smaller dogs, he would put that little dog or that stuffed animal on his hip like a baby, and he would say, if I ever get a koala, this is how I'm gonna hold it. It is just so funny, and I love memories like that, that you can talk about, especially around times like Thanksgiving and Christmas when the family is all together, and you can say, Tucker, when you were 8, you used to do this or say this or do that, and it's just fun to me to have those memories. All right, so there is the outside of our photo album complete. Let's see, let's go ahead and put these pieces on the inside. Now for this, I do prefer using my tear and tape, and I don't see it over here. So I'm gonna walk over to my other workstation really quick and see if I left it over there, and I did. When I was cleaning up after getting this ready today, I just forgot to bring it back over here. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put my tear and tape closer to the cut edges. And the reason I'm doing that instead of putting it closer to the score line is if you decided you wanted to put quite a few items stuffed down in these pockets, then if you've got your tear and tape right here next to the very edge where the score line is, it's going to hold it down really tight right there, and it's not going to give it room to grow. But if you have that adhesive out here close to the edge, then it allows that to kind of pop up off. Well, I don't know how to do it without, maybe I can do it this way and show you. It would allow it to kind of pull up off the surface of your inside page and give it a little room to grow. So that's my thinking on that. All right, so I've got those off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up so that it's about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and about 1/4 of an inch from the right side edge. And you know, if you wanted to use colored paper in here instead of white, you could certainly do that, but I was thinking about just going kind of plain so that the photographs and any other embellishments or anything like that that you decided to do to this photo album would kind of be the star of the show rather than just the construction part of it. So then this one will basically just go right on top of the pocket I just put on. Okay, and I'm going to line this one up so that these edges are even with the edges of the pocket below it. All right, and then we have one more. And nope, my iPad is not going to pull up my live event. Alrighty, maybe I should just bring my computer over here, which it's not a laptop, it's a desktop, but if this silly iPad doesn't work, then I want to be able to talk to you guys and see who's tuned in, because I cannot tell. And then just like the second one, I'm going to line these edges up and stick that down. So you see what I'm saying? That if you started sticking quite a few things in these pockets, because of where that adhesive is, it gives it a little room to kind of pucker up. Is that the right word I want to use? Pucker up? I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. So let's go ahead and get our tags put in here. So in this one, I decided to go with cherry cobbler. And I have these little tabs here that you can use, and that one is really a little bit long. I should probably have cut it shorter because I don't want it sticking out the top. So if you decide to make this, I think I did this at 8 inches. But it probably should have been a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to snip off about 1/2 inch. And because these are just rectangle pieces of cardstock, you can afford to do that. If something isn't the exact size you want it to be, then just cut it down a little bit. So then I've got that one in there, this one in here, and you can make these as long or as short as you want. I think I'm going to cut this one off a little bit. And I didn't really measure these, so to speak. I just kind of cut some pieces of cardstock, just as long as they weren't going to stick out past the top of my photo album. So this is the largest one that I have, and I'm probably going to end up having to cut it down too. So I think I'll go ahead and do that. And what I did was I'm using this punch right here, which is the Everyday Label Punch. And so this is just a strip that was left over from when I was cutting all of these pieces to go into my album. And so all I'm doing is just punching this out and then using this as my little tab. And the first thing I did was just fold it over and meet up the cut edges. Then I'm going to put glue on the inside from one end to the other, and you could use your tear and tape or your fast fuse on this if you wanted to. It'd be a little bit faster probably, but I don't mind taking a second to use the glue. Then put that on there, and so right there is my fold. I just want that to stick up past the end of that tab, you know, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, something like that. Then I've got my garden green stitched ribbon, stitch something ribbon, I forget exactly the name of this. So I'm just going to tie this into a bow, then make it a little bit smaller. Then I'm grabbing my glue dots here in just a second, and I'm going to stick that on with a glue dot. Or not. Maybe I left that over there too. Good golly, Miss Molly. I thought I had everything over here with me. But I was trying to cook supper before Tony got home. And I got sidetracked. So I'm just going to use some glue on the back of that. And this bottle is just about empty. So you could use glue here too, or you could use the glue dots. To be honest with you, I really feel like I would prefer to use the glue over glue dots, because I would be worried that over a long period of time the glue dots might not be as sticky as they once were. And then I'm not going to stick that all the way in there because I don't want to knock that bow off. But there you have all of your tabs, and like I was saying, you could either use all of these for journaling, or for journaling and photos, or just photos. So I'm going to set this over to the side just for a minute, and I'm going to grab my scoreboard again. And then, let's see, I need the piece for the pocket. So this piece is cut to 7 3/4 by 3 1/2. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in on the 3 1/2 inch side, and I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch, which will be 3 inches, and then turn it so that that score line is down here at the bottom. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. And my phone is telling me that my battery is low. I don't know how low it is, so hopefully it won't cut off on us. And then let's see, let me look here. All right, let me turn, well, let's see here. Actually, I scored that incorrectly. So I'm going to pretend like I did not score that right there. We're going to score at 3 5/8 inch, and then again at 7 1/4. And then I would turn it and score at my 1/2 inch mark right there. So then for this, I do a little bit of extra trimming because I didn't want to do a bunch of odd measurements on this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and fold all my score lines here. And then as you can see, this part and this part is going to get tucked behind, but when I fold that over and fold that little tab, see how it's puckering just a little bit? So what I do is once I get all of my score lines and all that stuff done, then I just put this back in my trimmer, and so we're going to pretend that score line is not there. So you've got your 1/2 inch score line here and your 1/2 inch score line here and no score line there. So I'm going to put that in my trimmer and cut maybe a 1/16 to 1/8 inch off. And that is just enough to make it so that when I fold that over, it's not going to pucker anymore. So then for the cutting on this little 1/2 inch part right here, we're going to cut straight across, and I'm going to stop when I reach that first score line right there and then cut that at an angle. And then just like we did on those other pieces, the little pockets, we're going to cut straight across diagonally where those score lines intersect, and then cut that little piece off right there too. Then this is where I'm going to use my tear and tape, but instead of putting the adhesive on this side, I'm going to flip it so I'm looking basically at the inside, and I'm going to put my adhesive right here on these two tabs. All right. Use my scissors because I have done something with my, what do you call it, piercing tool. It has grown wings and flown away somewhere. Then before I do anything else though, I don't want to forget this part. I'm also going to be using my 2-inch circle punch. Actually, I'm going to need my scoreboard one more time, and hopefully I won't get this stuck to it. So what I'm going to do is this score line right here, I'm just going to line it up somewhere on my board with a mark, and right here I'm just lining this up with the 6-inch mark. I'm going to come over here at the 7-inch mark, so basically an inch in from that score line, and just make a little mark. Then this little score line here, I'm just going to line up right there at the 9-inch, and then come over to the 8-inch and make a mark. So all you got to remember here is just make a mark an inch in from each score line on each side. Then I will use my 2-inch punch, and I'm going to slide that in just until I can see those little marks that I made just inside my circle, and punch that out. And my purpose for doing this is to be able to slide your photographs and all that in easier. Then stick that down, Now I will grab my photo album, and I also have a piece of designer series paper. Let me grab this back one more time because I do need to make a little mark for this also. So this piece is cut to, did I tell you the size of the pockets? I forgot. These were 7 3/4 by 3 1/2. I couldn't remember if I told you that or not. All right, so then my designer series paper is 3 3/8 by 2 3/4, and then I'm going to make a mark here at 7/8 of an inch over here, and then 2 5/8 of an inch over here. So basically all you're going to be doing on this is making a mark 7/8 of an inch from each side. Then I'll use my circle punch again and do the exact same thing. I'm going to slide that up in there just till I can see those marks that I made. Punch that out, and then this will get attached to the front of my bottom pocket. And then again, if you wanted to attach designer series paper to each pocket, then feel free to do it. But I just realized, especially once you get photographs in all of these pockets, you're not going to see the designer series paper, so I didn't want to waste it. Okay, so we got that there. Now for putting our pockets on the front of, or the inside of our album. Let me move some things out of the way. It's getting kind of crowded. You'll want to just start out by making a mark on your inside flap here, and I'm going to grab my ruler real quick. And then I need to measure on here because I forgot exactly where I made that first mark, and that was at 3 1/4 inches high. So I'm gonna line my 3 1/4 inch mark right there. And I'm just going to use my stylus for this. You could use a pencil or a pen if you wanted to. That's what I did on the other one, but I didn't bring one over here with me. And then I'm going to look at this one again because I want to make sure how far apart I put those. And I think each one was 5/8 of an inch. So then what I'm going to do is just come down 5/8 of an inch, make another mark, and then just do that all the way down. 5/8 of an inch, and you're going to have 6 pockets. Okay, so I've got those marked. Then I'm going to make sure that I put the one with the designer series paper on last. Now I'm just going to go ahead and use my liquid glue, I think, because, well, no, I'm going to use my double-sided tape because I really want this to stay put. I'm probably going to give this to someone. So I'm just putting my tape on the bottom and up 2 of the sides and then across the top right here. And this is going to take me just a little minute to get all of these done, so bear with me. All right. And I just have to tell y'all, you see this nail polish color? I made it. I did. Today I decided to go ahead and paint my nails because I had on red and it looked like I had had it on for a month. It was chipping so bad. So I thought, you know, I don't want to wear red and I don't want to wear a really light color. So I just took a bunch of my nail polishes and mixed them together and came up with my own color. So, all right, so let's hop back to our photo album. What I did was I lined the bottom up even right there with that mark that I made, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm paying attention to the score lines here and getting the edges of this pocket centered up in between the 2 of those. So you're going to do that with each of these pockets. Just put your tear and tape on there or whatever adhesive you're deciding to use, and stick each one right on top of the one before. Oh my goodness, Ella is in the bonus room right above me, and she's playing a video game, and she's playing online with some of her friends, and she is up there by herself, believe it or not, but it sounds like a herd of elephants up there. I do not know what in the world she's doing. Okay, I may have to go back to my scissors. I thought I was going to be quicker with this, but nope. Gonna have to use my scissors. Oh, Tucker just got home. Okay. And Sugar is losing her mind because she hears him coming in the door. So there's all kinds of noises going on in my house tonight. Oh, Allison's with him. Allison is his girlfriend. She is the most petite little thing. I bet that girl doesn't, well, she's not but about 5 feet tall, but I think she only weighs like 98 pounds. She is the, I wish I was her size. That day will never happen for me again, not at my age. Oh my goodness, gravy Gertie. I wish everything would cooperate with me. All right, so I'm lining this up with that mark I made. There's some adhesive flopping over, trying to make sure I keep the sides even with each other. All right, this is going way too slow. I'm just gonna go ahead and use my liquid glue. Save us some time. So there's number 4, and I don't think I told you that I actually made 6 pockets. I may have said that. I just don't recall if I did or not. And they just line up one right on top of the other. So this, honestly, this is a fairly quick photo album. I mean, it does take a little bit of prep work, and there are quite a few pieces to it, but in all honesty, in comparison with a lot of albums that I've seen people making on YouTube and Pinterest and different things like that, some of them would literally take you a half a day to make, and I just didn't want something that involved. All right, so here we go. Oh, my bow did come off of that. All right, I'm going to try to slide that under there and keep it tucked in so that glue will dry. So this is pretty much it in a nutshell as far as the inside goes. And then I had a little piece of cardstock cut here. So I've got this cut to 3.5 by 5. And then you can just slide your photographs in there. But see what I'm saying? This is the reason I didn't put any designer series paper on the rest of these pockets, because when you get your photographs in there, they're going to cover up those other pockets. So I just did not want to waste my paper. So you put your photographs in there, and you can also put photographs over here. I mean, you could even use these pockets to slide photos in if you wanted to. So full-size photos will fit over there as well. Let's go ahead and make our belly band. Now for that, I have just a piece of the Whisper White, and I want my 2 pieces to cross over each other in the front. Let's see, hopefully my phone is still working. Yep, okay. Just making sure my battery didn't die. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up just about above center. And instead of trying to figure out where to score it, I'm just going to pinch it around the box, all these corners, bring it back around the top. Then I'll use my bone folder, and wherever those lines are that I just made, I'll use that to get myself a nice crisp edge. And I don't know if you people, I'm saying people because I don't know if there's any fellas. I doubt it. All right, so we'll just say ladies because I've never had a man other than my husband join in on one of these. So if you ladies have not ordered your Stamparatus, you probably want to because the second window, the final window is now open, and there's not going to be another window open before they actually release the Stamparatus, which I think is going to be in the new annual catalog. But anyway, through the end of December, the first time, I don't think they realized just how popular the thing was going to be, and it sold out in 15 minutes because they were only allowing so many reservations. They're not doing that now. As many reservations as come in, that's how many that they're going to have the company make. They did say, however, the sooner you order yours, the sooner you'll get it, because it's kind of like when you're on hold, your call is answered in the order it was received. Well, they're sending out the Stamparatus in the order that the reservations were made. Okay, so I'm using that stamp set that I showed you. The two colors of ink is Real Red and Basic Black. Since I don't have my Stamparatus yet, I'm going to go ahead and use my Misty tool. So where is my paper? Right here. I just got a piece cut to 3 by 4 inches. I'm going to put that in my Misty tool. Make sure I get it up here so that you can see what I'm doing. And then the first one I'm going to stamp is the outline. And I'm just going to get that lined up pretty much in the center of my piece of cardstock. I'm going to end up cutting this out with my Lots of Labels framelits. So I've got my basic black ink. Going to get that inked up. And you know, I really do like my Misty. I use it pretty often when it comes to using stamp sets like this that are 2 and 3 stamp sets to make an image, because I am awful about keeping my hand steady enough to stamp it and it be nice and clear and pretty. So this Misty is great, but the Stamparatus is even better because where the Misty just has this one door that you can open and close, the Stamparatus has got a door that comes from the top and from the side. And you can do a lot more stamping without having to reposition stamps like I just did. I could have this stamp on the side door and the other stamp on the top door and not have to fiddle with all of this. Okay, so I'm hoping I can't get right over the top of it to see it because I don't want to get my head in the way. So hopefully I have that in the center. And now I'm going to move on to my Real Red. Now what I did in the first one is I did it with the black, but then I did gold embossing for this next part. And like I was saying, because I know a lot of people don't have embossing powders and the heat gun and all that, I just decided to demonstrate this with just ink instead. Oh, I hope I've got that lined up. Yep, that looks good. All right, so let's move that out of the way, scoochie that over to the side, grab my Big Shots, and then grab my Lots of Labels. So I'm going to put this right here, and I'm going to use my third from the largest framelit and try to get the 'Tis the Season centered up in the middle of that. Then I'll go ahead and run that through, and my table's gonna wiggle a little bit when I do this. Get that one cut out. Then I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit different than I did on the first one. I'm going to move up to the next to the largest, and then I have 4 sheets of some cherry cobbler, which I know I used the Real Red, but I like cherry cobbler over real red, because I have a tendency to lean toward warmer reds than I do cooler reds, and to me the cherry cobbler is a nice brown warm red, so I like it better. I'm going to run this through on top of 2 pieces of cardstock because it will cut it out, and I'm getting twice as much work done in the time that I would get 1 piece cut out. So I'm cutting out 4, and my reason for doing this is because with that belly band being taken off and put back on my album, I wanted this to be nice and thick because I don't want it to get all bent and curled and yucky looking. All right, we'll put that back down there. Then to put these together, I'm just going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. All right, my battery's getting low, y'all. I'm gonna hurry up. I'm just about to the end. So I'd stick all of these on top of one another. And you know what, just to be safe, what I'm gonna do is I'll go back later and stack those other 2 together because my phone keeps telling me my battery's low. So what you'll want to do with this is just glue all 4 of these together like that. Then I'm going to take my sentiment and glue it right on top. Get that centered up. That is so pretty, I love it. And then I'm gonna use my Stampin' Dimensionals, and today when I was working, I dropped my black ink pad right on top of my Dimensionals, but it's okay because that backing comes off. So I'm just gonna line my Dimensionals straight down the middle. Pull that backing off, and then stick that on top of my belly band. Okay, so there's that one. Let me get this one back out and put the belly band on it. Alrighty, so there we go. There is a plaid darker version, and then there's the lighter color. I like them both. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and it's really, like I said, I don't know how long I've been on, but other than the time it took me to cut everything, which was probably about 10 minutes, it's really not a lengthy project to make, and it's really something that I feel is a cute idea to give as a gift to someone. It is a lot of fun to make, and I don't know, I think it would be a great little gift or a stocking stuffer or something like that. So y'all have a great rest of your night. I'm gonna run in here and eat supper, and I'll be talking to y'all next week, if not before. See ya. Bye-bye.